All right, guys, welcome back to the Spin Zone podcast with me, Cake Eater, and we also got Chad and we got Vile. How are you guys two doing today?
Doing all right.
I'm driving.
He's driving.
We do not
Yep.
condone using a cellular device while operating a motor vehicle here on the Spin Zone podcast, but Vile is
And while smoking, too. You've got the smoking.
while smoking, yeah. So all of those are all three together are bad options. So here on the Spin Zone podcast, we do not condone operating a motor vehicle while talking on the phone and smoking. So don't do that. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you
Exactly.
To be fair, Cake, in the state of Minnesota, there's no law against smoking a tobacco product. I'm not smoking dope or anything, just tobacco while driving. There's also no law about hands-free usage of cellular devices. As long as I'm not holding it in my hand and I'm not trying to type on it, I'm good to go.
oh, so he's in the clear.
Mm,
We condone all of that, though. Anyway, ladies and
you know
gentlemen,
what else we condone, though?
okay.
You know what else we condone? We condone going to beybladepodcast.com and using our code, don't we?
Yeah, Chad. Yes, we do. Go ahead.
Got to get it out of the way right away. We got a lot to talk about, so everyone, be sure to visit Bays and Bricks today and use code SPINZONE to save 7% off your order. That's SPINZONE at Bays and Bricks for 7% off your order. This coupon is usable twice per account.
Wonderful. So, guys, go to beysandbricks.com, use code SPINZONE, get that meteor, get that mummy set, get whatever you guys need. Shut up, Chad. And then use code SPINZONE, buy all that, get 7% off your total purchase. Anyway, for a third time, ladies and gentlemen, if you are watching the screen, we actually have a special guest coming all the way from Australia. We give it up for BeySensei. How are you doing there, good sir?
Very good, thank you, Cake. Thanks for having me.
Oh, absolutely. And then time difference and everything. So, if you guys are watching live, which we do all of our shows live over on Twitch, Kick, and YouTube, go ahead, check us out on those. Links are always in the description. Go check those out. So we are doing our show a little bit later than normal, just kind of help our guest out a little bit and kind of get it done. So anyway,
Which I greatly appreciate. Thank you for saving me that sleep schedule.
Yeah, no worries. So, so go ahead, tell everybody who you are and anything else that you think that they should know about you. So right now, the floor is all yours, sir.
Well, like you said, I'm BeySensei. A lot of people might know me from TikTok. I do a lot of videos on Beyblade X, Beyblade X combos, new releases, reviews, battles, combos, all sorts of different things. Like you said, I'm from Australia, so I'm also part of the Beyblade Australia network, which is an Australia-wide Beyblade tournament organization. We run tournaments in almost every state, so South Australia, Queensland, New South Wales, and Victoria. And yeah, I only got into Beyblade X maybe like 2 years ago, just when the Phoenix Rotor deck set had just come out. And I was really loving the game. I made a bunch of new friends. I just moved to Melbourne, and I thought I want to start making some TikToks. I have a bit of a creative streak in me, and I want to try and make some more content. So I've been doing that for just over a year and a half now, and things seem to be going pretty good. So
Yeah,
good enough for you guys to invite me on the shows.
Yeah, absolutely. You have some really good content. So thought we'd kind of get you on because having someone coming from a different country, we've had the Philippines on here. Now we have you. We've had different states. And then we also plan on getting some other people from Australia over on here eventually. So, uh, really, what got you truly into Beyblades?
Um, I've kind of always been a bit into it. Like I really got into the Metal Saga when Metal Fight was on TV as an anime. But I never actually owned
Yeah.
Beyblades as a kid. And now that I'm an adult with adult money, I can actually afford Beyblades. And
Dude, that's so true.
so when I moved, yeah, it's like I'm an adult, but I don't want to, lose out on playing with toys. I think that it's very important for adult. Like, no, it's very, very
No,
important for adults to really enjoy playing. Play is a big thing in humans, and we need to like keep that playfulness inside of us. So
That is true.
yeah, I like that because being grown ups, we just take so many things so seriously. But kind of like you said, playing like with toys or playing outside or whatever, it kind of frees like the inner child right back into you. Is that kind of what you're saying again?
oh, absolutely. And it's really, really good to build community as well. Because when I was brand new to Melbourne, I knew nobody. And I saw they had a Beyblade tournament. I'm like, I'm not expecting to make friends. I'm just gonna go have fun. And lo and behold, I made some friends on that first day that are like really, really close friends to me now. So
Yeah, that
I think the community is just a really, really big part of it as well.
yeah, over here in Minnesota, our community is absolutely great. Well, like we're so welcoming with everybody. So we all understand kind of where you're standing on that as well. So, did you just
Yeah.
start playing with X, or did you play with like
Yeah. So
plastic or?
um, I never really had Beyblades on my own until I was like a teenager. I had a couple Metal Fight, but I never played with anybody else. None of my friends were really into Beyblade. I only started playing when X came out, basically. Which is honestly the better way to play, I think, because I've looked at the previous generations and I think X is the pinnacle of what Beyblade really should be.
100%.
Yeah, this is my first generation and absolutely loving it. I had bursts for a little bit because I thought that's what um, this meta was because I didn't know better. And luckily, I found like local people and was like, "Hey, are these what I need?" They're like, "No, that's not at all. You're stupid, basically."
Yeah.
And I was so glad because
Oh,
Well,
because most of bursts are god awful eyesores.
hmm I'm not even sure what I'm looking at half the time when I'm looking at a burst bay.
It looks like one of those like ink blots from like a psychologist. Like, tell me what you see here.
Yeah,
Like
100%. It's like I think I see a face, maybe two faces. I can't be sure.
like are those supposed to be flames or waves or what? I don't know. It literally just looks like a big ass ink blot. I I never understood anything from Burst.
But X has such strong motifs, like Shark Edge. The blades look like sharks. TB has like Tyrannosaurus tails on it. Like the motifs are very clear and obvious and distinct, which is
Yeah.
really awesome. I really like that about X.
Yeah, and like Keel Shark has also the teeth, and there's so many that you can actually see what it's supposed to be or some kind of other adaptation of it as well. So, like you
Mm-hmm.
said, I think
100%.
as of right now, I think X is, and Vile and Chad, you guys can either agree or disagree, but from what I've seen and kind of watched, I think X is probably one of the better generations, if not the best generation.
yeah.
Yeah, because I know Chad, you've done
That's the only generation I played, so I can't speak on that too much.
right. Yeah, no, Chad, he's played Beyblades for a while, so he's probably the most.
Oh, yeah. I've played through almost every generation except for plastic.
And don't get me wrong, plastics they look cool. That's about it.
Yeah.
Hey,
Well,
some of them do.
again, one of the biggest problems with the plastic, and I've mentioned this off the podcast, but I will certainly mention it on the podcast. There is quite literally a plastic Gen Beyblade that is made out of all brown plastic, and it breaks when you attempt to put it together because back when that was being made, those who know Legos will know what I'm talking about. A lot of companies were using a very weak brown uh, plastic combination that just made a lot of older brown Legos very brittle, and also made this Beyblade very brittle, which is why if anyone has it in their collection, it is in the box and has not been opened.
Oh. Yeah, and that just doesn't sound appealing. That's just a waste of money right there. Like, what's the
It
point
sounds
of?
like a
Imagine
poop
just putting
Beyblade.
your bit in the Imagine putting your bit in the ratchet and then the whole thing just cracks.
I'd cry. Like, I just spent
Yeah.
$10-15 on this, and it's busted before I can even play it. Like, what the hell? I don't get it. But yeah, Chad, I remember you talking something regarding that.
Oh yeah. Yeah, every generation of Beyblade has been interesting and cool in its own unique way, but X is the most riveting of all the Beyblade sagas because the rest of them are just like they're just too slow. You're watching like it's like watching old people fight. It's funny and hilarious, but it's also kind of sad and tragic at the same time because everything is just you're just waiting for like ever for these Beyblades to just finally topple over.
Like old people.
You can
Have
still
you
see
not
that in
seen
X.
two
All you
old
got to do
people
is,
fighting?
Oh my god.
Chad, you can see that. You can still see that kind of play in X. You just got to play Wizard Rod against Clock Mirage.
Yeah.
Ah,
Now,
Very-
even
very
then,
true.
there's some depending on the wizard rod combo, there is a chance for some actual fun stuff or something interesting to happen. I mean, let's not forget one of the most interesting things to have happen at one of these events was or during one of the meetups was Silver Wolf versus Wizard Rod, and Wizard Rod got like thrown into a wall almost.
it happens. So just going on. So just curiosity, how did you get your name?
I actually had a pretty long think about it. And I was toying with a few different ideas. But I really wanted to come down to I wanted the channel to be a bit of a learning experience for newer players. And then as it goes on, maybe a bit of education for players who are already into Beyblade. And if I'm going to be a teacher, what's a good teaching name? You know, Beyblade's Japanese, Sensei is Japanese for teacher. So BeySensei kind of just flowed on from that. But I do try to keep the content not just as like reviews, but also like, oh, maybe you should try this thing out. This is something you might not have seen before, and it works really well.
Yeah.
Just to keep a little bit of more of that quote unquote like educational content for Beyblade.
Right. Did you toy with any other names before you kind of stuck with BeySensei?
Funnily enough, it was really bad. It was like Bay teacher and Bay school and things like that. But Bay Sensei kind of rolled off the tongue. And another friend of mine actually started a channel very similar called Bay Guru, which I almost like a little bit better because it rolls off a little bit better in that way. If you're a guru, you're kind of all knowing, but I'm also not all knowing. I don't know everything about Beyblade, so
Right.
I didn't want to take a bit of an ego name, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, BeySensei, it really goes with your channel for sure. So oh,
And I absolutely love the more just the profile picture was done up by a good friend of mine in the Melbourne community called Joms. And he's done all the artwork for Beyblade Australia Network as well, like their Oz Drake and their motifs and whatnot. And I said, "Oh, could you do me a Sensei logo?" And he drew that up, and I'm like, "No notes, you nailed it." So
yeah.
I was very happy with his work.
Yeah, and that's really well done. Like completely well done. I like it. It's probably one of the best logos that I've actually seen in a while. So kudos to him for sure.
Yeah.
So, going into a community, especially over here in Minnesota, we've always have new players coming. At least one new player comes at least once during our get-togethers or our tournaments or whatever. So what kind of tips, any
Mhm.
sort of tips, what kind of tips would you give to a new blader?
Um, to start with, I would say like look up not necessarily what the meta is, but just look up recommendations of like Beyblades that maybe beginners should start with. It'll give you a good idea of the way the styles work. Like when I was first starting, I looked up guides as to what the better Beyblades were, and this was like I said about when Phoenix Runner was at. So the options were a lot more limited. But some of the recommendations was like, Scythe Incendio, Shark Edge, and Phoenix Wing, even though Wizard Rod was still out. And I'd never heard of Wizard Rod until I rocked up to my first tournament. But the reason those things were recommended was they're very easily, what's the word? Attainable. You can attain them very easily.
Mm-hmm.
The parts are really, universal, and you can use them on a bunch of different things. And those parts will also give you a very good indication of how a Beyblade moves, how a Beyblade should be launched. And it's kind of a really good groundwork for learning about the more advanced techniques as you go into the game later. So absolutely, first and foremost, I would say like do a little bit of research on just the baseline items that people are recommending. I don't think I would actually recommend like a wizard rod straight up to people. As much as it's a meta pick, I think that it's you're gonna have more fun learning with other items first. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like you said, Wizard Rod, all you gotta do is just kind of shoot it, put it on the right build. It's just gonna sit pretty in the center and do what Wizard Rod does that we all know what it can do. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, actually doing basically a little bit of research, kind of what you're saying, getting more into it, and then kind of learning from like more experienced players about how to actually do it. And also don't buy
Quite often.
yeah, absolutely. So when you first got into it, don't buy Horned Rhino.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't buy
Uh,
don't buy horn.
Yeah.
Um, but I will say, like, for our community, actually, quite often when we get new players, they are very open to asking the experienced players, "Hey, what do you think I should try? What do you think I should build?"
Mm.
And a really nice thing about our community is how open and collaborative they are. And quite often, our experienced players will just lend them some bays. Like, I have a collection of one of every bay that exists at the moment, not all the colors, but at least one blade. And I'll
Mm.
be like, try these three, go out there and just see how you go. And surprisingly, quite often those players, not from me, from other players who build them their decks, they just like easily win first try. It's beginner's luck, but it works for them because they're just pulling as hard as they can and seeing what happens.
Right. Yeah, we kind of had the same thing over here as well. We've said it in many episodes, and Chad and Val can agree to this because they've seen it. We actually have one of our main vendors, because kids come in all the time. Their parents don't know what the
Mm-hmm.
hell to buy. They buy like the box with like the launcher and a couple and like 6 or 7 bays on Amazon for $20. They don't know better.
Yeah.
Yeah, it literally
Yeah.
happens almost every week that we have a new tournament. I don't know what it is, but they don't know better. So one of our main
Are you saying that you're not a fan of Top Gyro?
or whatever gyros or
I love Top Gyro X. Okay, I don't. Cake, you're a hater, brother. You're a hater.
I mean,
oh, good lord.
I like Euros, but I don't like the top Euros or whatever the hell it's called. No.
Oh my god.
All right.
That's 5 minutes in the corner.
Oh, nobody puts baby in the corner though. Anyway, back to so one of our main vendors, he actually loans just like what you do. Like, hey, try these out, see if you like it, and then go from there. Sometimes he'll even just give them to him, just out of kindness, out of his good heart, and the parents are happy. Like the kids are so
That's because
ecstatic that they.
he's making bank off you, Cake. That's why.
No, that's your buddy leaving halfway through a tournament just to buy shit.
He not leave. He okay. So BeySensei. I don't know. It's easier to say Bay. we had a team tournament, right? So 3 players on each team, and Cake was on a team with one of my buddies that I brought down, and he definitely departed in the middle of a match to go to Egg's vending station and buy the Taco Goat 2-pack, just right in the middle of the match.
In the middle of the match is something special,
Yeah, so
It is.
it's, and again, it's just one of those experiences that I'll probably never forget. It was just so funny, and it was his turn. I look around and couldn't find him, and I look at the vending station, and there he is. Anyway, back on the topic of.
I will say, lending your bays out is a great way to wear down that rubber Excel to the perfect point.
Hey, that's a good. Hey, that's another good tip that you can give out. If you get rubber Excel, loan it out so you're not doing all the 100 rips, so it can get worn down a little bit.
Exactly right.
Yeah. So if you could give yourself one tip when you just started out with the information that you have right now, what would it be? And no, it can't.
Tilt.
Tilt launch.
Honestly, because when I first started, I was very, very naive, and I thought this game is not a game of skill. You just pull hard and you'll win. And that first tournament, I came dead last. So terrible impression. But I think if I had just learned to tilt in any direction, just tilt somehow, that would have helped me immensely.
Oh yeah. And I think that's how we all became part of this game was, okay, I'm do it straight, not do anything, and then go as hard.
Yep.
But then again,
I don't know. I still just launch as hard as I can. So I can't
true.
speak to any of that.
Yeah. But you also
nowadays I don't pull as hard as I can anymore. So
I know sometimes I do still. No, sometimes I do. And being completely honest, I lost all my train of thought, which is totally fine.
Well, I was just saying, I don't pull as hard as I can anymore, purely because there is a principle of the law of diminishing returns, where there comes a level where you've pulled so hard that any harder than that is actually not going to be helping you.
Mm-hmm.
If anything, it's actually going to make your launch somewhat less powerful or less controlled. So if you want to try and maintain the control as well as the power, there is a limit. You have to find it for yourself, but eventually you'll find how much power you actually need to put in to control your bay where you want it to go.
Hey, those are more fair tips that you could give to like a new blader, or even going back to yourself. Just tilt and tilt it a bit, and then don't rip it as hard as you can.
Tilt and don't pull as hard as you can.
Yeah. And honestly, those are some great tips, even for veteran players. Okay, yeah, maybe I need to not rip it as hard as I possibly can, and see, because you lose all your control for
these
it.
days. Yeah. These days, I'm all about positioning more so than power, and I think that the position of where you're landing is going to be much, much better of an indicator as to whether you're going to win or not. I mean, we've all done it. We've all launched, and then we're on the wrong side of the stadium. We just get knocked straight into a pocket. So, I almost think positioning's as, if not more important than the power you're putting behind it.
Yeah, or it just automatically takes the rail, and then just you self-extreme yourself, and then you just look stupid. And then some tournaments you lose 3 points already, even if there's no contact. You get those self points, and
those hurt.
Oh, those hurt majorly. I know I've done those during tournaments. I know several people that have ripped so hard that it basically lost them the whole game, because that's 3 out of 5 points right there. And that hurts.
Yeah.
So you're saying that you started Beyblades mostly with X. So what would your favorite Bey of Beyblade X or even of all time kind of be?
So people who watch my channel pretty religiously will know my favorite is Unicorn Sting. Um, Even when I started, Unicorn Sting was actually out. And I have the only time I've actually placed in tournaments is when Unicorn Sting's been in my deck. Um, but I love the motif of unicorn. I love the colors, the teal and the purple. And I love the idea of a double-sided blade where depending on the side you hit is the effect that you're getting.
Hmm.
I kind of liked, I think they called it Doomsizer in Burst, which had a similar thing, two sides. Um, but I feel like Unicorns like just nailed everything I wanted in a Bey, from design, from color, from effect, stamina. I just love everything about Unicorn Sting. I can't wait for the next Unicorn iteration.
What is your Unicorn Sting build, if you remember on the top of your head?
So the one that I was often winning with was 960 ball, but recently I've been swapping it over to a 760 hexa. 760 hexa gives it a little bit more weight, a little bit lower, and if you're that's a combo I can pull as hard as I want, and I know that I'll actually be able to get a bit of knockout on that because of those little notches in the sides. Those are the recoil points, and they're just going to knock things into the pocket.
Interesting.
I might have to give that a try.
How about to say, there you go, Chad, for your interesting builds. And I don't think I've ever really heard anyone truly using Pegasus Sting. So
Yeah.
I applaud you for using something completely different compared to like Shark Scale or Wyvern or whatever that's really meta right now. But
Don't get me wrong, like they're very good blades, and I love using them, and I will always use them in the tournament. But when I first started, Unicorn was doing so much work for me, because this was before we were getting major hitters like Impact Drake or Drum Buster was becoming a big thing. I was able to, if it's a Unicorn versus Wizard matchup, and both of them on Hexa, more often than not, the Wizard's going to be hitting the rail, and it's going to lose more stamina because it's hitting rail more often. It's a little thing. I try to think of the game a little bit differently, where it's not just this Bey's going to spin longer. I try to think about the strategy of what will make the opponent's Bey stop. What beats a Rod Hexa? Well, what beats a Rod Hexa is hitting it into the rail more than you hit the rail, so that thing loses stamina quicker. And if you can achieve that on any other combo, then you can easily beat a Wizard Rod.
Yeah. Huh. I'm interested because I don't think I've ever really heard of a good Pegasus Sting build, but kind of your stories and everything, I don't have a reason not to trust you. So maybe I gotta kind of dust off the good old Pegasus and tilt it and rip it.
Well, we had it. Every so often here in Australia, we'll do it. So we have a tier system for tournament levels. We have X3s, X2s, and X1s. X1s are like that really top tier, really hyper competitive, whereas X3s are more casual. Sometimes X3s have a gimmick, and we did a gimmick once where it was like you could use the same blade but like in different colors. And I used all three different Pegasus colors. I used a red Pegasus, a lemon lime Pegasus, and a blue Pegasus, and that was just crazy fun for that one too.
Huh.
Pegasus? Which Pegasus?
Sting.
Sorry, not Pegasus. Sorry, Unicorn.
Oh,
Unicorn. Okay. Sorry, Kate called it Pegasus at some point, so I kept calling it Pegasus. No, Unicorn.
Unicorn. Oh,
okay,
yeah, that's
so you
my
had,
bad.
So you must you had the two Hasbro releases and then the red TT one, yeah?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, that makes sense.
We have a lot of really good TT access here because we have a fellow in our community called Pax. He runs a store here where you can get TT releases very easily. So a lot of our bladers here have very easy access to TT blades.
Oh, that's very.
There we go.
Yeah, it's tough in the States.
Yeah.
I can imagine with the shipping costs too. I imagine.
The tariffs have not helped. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
Regardless of people's opinion on the tariffs, in general, they have certainly not helped getting TT product here to the States.
No, it's
Well, I can say like not I think at the moment some of our bladers are able to get shark scale sets for like 35 USD at the moment. So
Yeah, that doesn't happen over here.
yeah.
That's good though. I mean, it's good for you guys. Apparently, everywhere else in the world can do that except for America. So it's very interesting. So I wanted to, Cake's got a long list of questions that he kind of, asks people generally, but I have a couple specific questions for you because you are in a different region from us, right? So it's pretty well known at this point that Australia receives essentially all the Hasbro releases up to several months before the US does. Is that your experience as well?
In a way. So sometimes it's not so much that we get the product, but we often get the previews, the first looks. One of our community leaders, his name's Zero. He has a really good relationship with Hasbro, and the Australian Hasbro rep recognizes how much we do for the game here. So that's why we're able to get a very early look at Wizard Ark before CX had even hit store shelves anywhere.
wow.
And that was just that. He told us, you're going to come to this tournament. There's going to be an announcement. Nobody's going to want to miss it. And we were all thinking, oh, we're getting like G3 prizing, like gold drons or something. That's what
That'll
we thought
never
it was going to
happen.
be. No, no.
Hey, you never know.
But then you never know. You never
Yeah, you
know. But
never
he
know.
walks in and he holds it up. He holds up the Hasbro version of Wizard Ark. And the room goes crazy because nobody has even seen the Japanese ones yet. They weren't coming out for another 2 weeks. And he was holding this thing in his hand. And everybody, the question was exactly what your question was how did we get our hands on that so early? But I think it's purely due to just a really close relationship with our Hasbro reps. They're really, really good at listening to player feedback. And they do want to take the competitive players into account. It's been a little tricky sometimes because we were getting some word that we weren't going to get the singles, like Blue Phoenix Hasbro single or Tide Whale single. There's a bit of word that we weren't going to get any of those here. Yeah, but we were doing a bit of petitioning to say, look, if you release these things, they're going to sell well. These are competitive combos. Blue Phoenix, Hexa, Tide Whale, Elevate. These are competitive parts that we guarantee you're going to make money on. And we only just started seeing them in stores. So that's actually a little bit later than the rest of the world.
Oh, you just started seeing them because we've had those for a while.
Yeah.
But
yeah, we only
to me it's
last week like
Oh wow. To me that's wild because like apparently that's the situation with those. But you guys have had Hack Viking now for a couple of weeks from what I've seen from the earliest social media posts. And we don't even have anywhere we can pre-order it from yet. It hasn't even really been officially announced here.
Stream. I know maybe not everybody's watching it, but this is the Hack Viking here. One of our guys just walked into one of the local toy stores here, and it was on the shelves, and messaged everybody in Australia like, guys, this is in this specific store. Go find them. And so everybody started going to the local chains and finding them. I haven't seen any Stun Medusas yet. I know one person saw that in a store, but I don't think they're widely available here yet.
What about the other new 2-pack? Have you guys seen that one?
The Samurai Caliber
turtle, maybe
obsidian shell. That's in stores at the moment as well. So that's in same stores as the Hack Viking Go Circle one. The Hack Vikings aren't on shelves right now because everybody's bought them out. Most of the Samurai Calibers are still on shelves, but that's because we have such ready access to TT that we've already got Sam Caliber. We've had it for a few months now. So that's why that one's probably still on shelves. It really is like a supply and demand type thing. And if we're getting TT before we get Hasbro stuff's going to slip behind a little bit.
Oh yeah.
No, I mean, absolutely. Now, you said you haven't seen Stun Medusa. Have you guys seen any of the singles yet? Have you seen the Black Phoenix Rudder or the Black Phoenix Feather yet?
Haven't seen those in store, and I imagine we won't get those for another 6 months at least.
Wow.
It seems like
really?
the singles.
Wow.
Yeah, the singles for Australia are well behind. I'm sure you guys have the singles for Cow Sphinx and the Purple Wizard Arrow. We never even got those here. It never arrived on store shelves.
So yeah, so like we did get those things, but I would say like they're pretty hard to find. It's weird. Like some stuff here, like the CX 1 through 4, like Wizard Arc and Dran Brave and all that kind of stuff. Those are just everywhere. You can walk in any store in the country that sells Beyblades, and those Beyblades are there. But then there's other things like the most recent like Lance Knight recolor we got here. Like that's pretty hard to track down, other than like you find it in stock on Amazon. But like going into a store, you almost never see it.
Yeah, we kind of get stuff in, like, they're labeled as waves, and we definitely get them in waves. If you walk into a Kmart here, which is definitely different to a Kmart in America.
We don't have
we don't have Kmart's anymore.
Oh, you don't have Kmart's?
No, that went out like
Kmart is basically our Walmart. So you walk into one of those, you're going to get like Green Wizard Rods, Golem Rocks, Prize Shelter Drakes. Those are the kind of things that are on the shelves at the moment. Yeah. So we're a little bit behind in some ways, but then in other ways we're well forwarded. It's a little weird, and I'm sure that's something to do with the distributorship, because I think there's only one main distributor of Beyblade product in Australia. But whatever they're doing, they're definitely helping keep the exclusivity of new product in Australia. We got, like you said, we got the Wizard Arc first, we got the Drop Attack Stadium first with the Hover Wyvern, we got the Hack Viking stuff first. So it's really, really interesting to see that we're just getting that stuff early, which, don't get me wrong, I'm very happy with. Hasbro, if you're listening, keep it up. But yeah, it brings us all great joy. We're all very happy and excited to see this stuff on shelves and really get to share it with the world. And it was very funny because when the Wizard Arc came out and we were sharing pictures of it and saying, look, this is real, this is new, everybody was like, oh no, it's AI, it's all AI, and they're just AI generated image. But some people don't want to believe that it's already out because they can't imagine it, America wouldn't get it first.
Oh, I mean, we have problems here with distribution even within America. You're familiar, I'm assuming, with the Red Hulk Captain America dual pack?
Yes, yeah, we did have that one here.
Yeah, so here in America, we had, 4 months ago, some areas had it. And if you didn't happen to live in one of those very particular states, the only way to get it was to pay double the MSRP on eBay from people who were scalping it. And just finally, I think within the last like 3 weeks, we started to see them popping up here in Minnesota. But
yeah,
like I said, in some other areas have been around 3-4 months. So even within America, there's huge distribution differences on certain products.
I've got a bit of a question for you guys, because for us in Australia, at least, the BBAN, we have a very strong bay hunting network. We have a whole channel in just this one Discord where everybody in Australia will share when something exclusive or new is dropped and where you can find it. Do you guys have something like that over there to like find product easily?
So
So listen, I'll give my opinion and I'll let these two go. So sort of, okay?
Yeah.
Locally in Minnesota, there are some people, if they see something, they'll let us know. From my understanding of Australia, y'all are pretty much all centered around big cities, mostly on one coastline, right? And then the rest of the country is largely uninhabited outside of Perth, right?
Yeah, pretty much all the major cities are on coastlines, yeah.
Yeah, here in America, we have cities all over the place, and it's a huge country. So, talking, like I said, because of the distribution differences between states, we wouldn't have like a national network like that because it wouldn't make any sense. No one's driving 24 hours down to Texas to buy a Beyblade a few weeks earlier, With that being said, in Minnesota, people do shout it out sometimes. But America, and this is not just with Beyblade, it happens with Pokemon cards, it happens with just about anything these days. If somebody finds something, they're probably a little more likely to just buy it all up and flip it on eBay or something. That's just kind of American scalping culture right now. Now, not everyone is like that, but I don't know. We don't get a ton of people sharing stuff like, what do we get, guys? 1 or 2 posts a week in Minnesota. Someone's like, hey, this is at Target, but it's never anything exciting. It's more like, hey, if you were missing a blue Phoenix, there's a couple here. No one's ever been like, oh my God, Stun Medusa 2 months early. Like that has never happened. They'd probably just buy them all and put them on eBay.
So like the only reason it works for us, I think, is because so our main toy store, like one of the bigger toy stores here, is called Toymate. If one Toymate gets new product in, that kind of indicates that all of the Toymates are going to get them in. So like we'll have a guy up the Hack Viking Stun Medusa stuff that came from Queensland, and when they posted it, I immediately went down to my Melbourne store and they were there on the shelves.
Not how it works here at all. If I could be at a Target, okay? Target's kind of another Walmart type of store, or a Walmart, whatever. And I could be like, oh yeah, they've got, let's just say Stun Medusa here. And I could call Cake, who lives, let's just say 15 minutes from me, okay? And he goes to his Walmart right by his house, and they don't have anything on the shelf at all, let alone the new stuff. It's very bad here like that.
It is. But yeah, so
it's very interesting. So you guys have good TT access down there.
Mostly due to just one community member who basically runs an entire store out of his like family home. But he's so good. He basically runs all TT distribution in Australia. And as much as like we will sometimes get messages to Spruik, Bays and Bricks or Mall of Toys, those sorts of places. The shipping costs for us from them is a little bit more than it would be for you guys.
Yeah, a lot more, I'm sure.
Yeah, so it's a lot better, and he's Hong Kong based, so he has like direct access with Asian distributors, and he's able to get us that kind of product really easily, which we all greatly appreciate.
I bet Hong Kong's a lot closer to Australia than it is to here, so I bet that doesn't hurt either.
Yes.
Yeah, that helps.
Well, Japan is as well.
That's true too. But that's my understanding is like it's pretty hard to get any sort of like direct distribution out of Japan. Whereas I've heard in Hong Kong and Taiwan it's a little looser.
And I would say like being so close to Hong Kong and having that kind of connection makes it really, really good for prizing as well, for our prizing tournaments. Mm-hmm. Almost every like X2 or higher tournament will have at least one gold bay up. Not gold drum, but like a gold Night Shield or a gold Perseus. That'll be up on the prize pool, just because he's got such good access to that kind of thing for us.
That's nice. Crazy. So let's just do a little comparison here because I'm curious. So, what's a good Emperor Might deck set? Okay, that's a good one. I'm not great at conversions, but you seem to have an understanding of it. Approximately what in USD would you pay for an Emperor Might deck set from this guy that you work with?
Let me have a look. He's literally just put up some updates, so I can find it real quick. Because I can let you know. I'm not going to spruik his stuff on your show because you guys have sponsors.
I don't care. You can talk about it. Like it doesn't bother me. Like just because we have a sponsor doesn't mean that we can't talk about other places that are good for players.
Yeah, 100%. Well, he does ship internationally. It's not just Australia, but
that's fine. I'm not bothered if he has good price and he wants to ship to me, he can ship them to me. Whatever.
I mean, I think he had Black Mammoth for like $25 the other day.
Okay, USD.
USD it would be like 15 to 17, I think.
Yeah, that's crazy. That just doesn't happen here. Yeah, that's just not possible.
No, not at all.
Yeah, his Emperor Might deck set would be 40 Australian, which would be close to like 30 American.
Yeah, we can't do that over here either.
Yeah.
That's not so like just for a comparison, so like or maybe anyone from Australia watching, who's curious. Over here for a deck set like Emperor Might, we'd pay about 50 USD.
Yeah, in between 50 and 60.
Yeah. And that's crazy because that's already like in Australian dollars, that's almost $70 for us,
Yeah. And I mean, like you mentioned the black metal coat mammoth would be like, 15, 17 USD over there. So I sell them locally for like 40, and that's probably like $5 to $10 under what the Bays and Bricks and all that places are selling them for. So
yeah,
it's pretty wacky over here, the pricing difference.
But because of the way
wish I lived there.
Connected to home. I'm glad I live here, believe me.
Yeah,
but because of the way
really
he's
blessed.
connected to Hong Kong, he has really good access to the way the market is and how many are in circulation and how many aren't. Like Red Pegasus is here where about 70 to 80 US dollars like a month ago. But now Red Pegasuses have like blown up. They've printed significantly more of them, and therefore the price has dropped to maybe like 50 Australian dollars, which would be
Oh
about
wow.
40 to 35 American dollars. Um, but he's only able to offer those kinds of prices because he has a very good knowledge about what the market looks like.
That's fair. We just don't have anything like that over here. I mean, listen, I'm sure the big stores do. I'm sure like Bays and Bricks, Bay Warehouse, Mall Toys, I'm sure they have relationships with people in Hong Kong.
Yeah.
But I've been trying to figure out how some of these places are sourcing, and I just, short of showing up at the guy who owns Bays and Bricks' house with a gun and telling him, hey, tell me your fucking secrets. I don't know if that's happening, like
Well,
it's
hope
wild.
not.
You guys are blessed. You guys are completely blessed.
True. Very, very true.
Very.
Okay, why don't you fire away some more stuff, brother?
All right. So we actually got a couple questions coming in from YouTube. So do you have
wonderful.
Do you have anything similar to like team events or the club system?
Kind of. So like I said, we have tiers: X3s, X2s, X1s. X3s are usually more the casual environment, and that's where we'll do our team events. So sometimes we call them gimmick tournaments because there's always a specific gimmick for that kind of event.
Yeah.
And it's not uncommon for us to do team events like 3v3, 1 bay per person going into a battle. So we do that quite often, but it's not counting toward ranked points. Ranked points only come on X2s and X1s. But as for like team battles are pretty popular, and we don't have a strict club system yet, but quite a lot of our community members will form little clubs with each other. So like in Melbourne, we have like 3 or 4 different teams. I've got Team Jormungandr, which is just this one group of like 4 or 5 bladers that really practice a lot together and then hope one of them will win the major tournament. Got another one called Team Midnight Snacks, and their whole thing is like snacks that you eat at midnight. So people will form their own teams, but it's not a strict club type thing that's going on there. Though we're looking at possibly trying to open up a bit of a team ranked format in parallel to our main singles ranked format. Chad is
good idea.
Over at
I'm pointing over at you. That's a good idea. I like that. It's crazy. You're talking about 4 or 5 people get together and practice together all the time. We half the time we can't even get people to show up to the events, like to the tournaments, let alone like free play. Like I think our New Year's Eve free play, which I had billed for like weeks, was much longer hours than normal. What do we have, like 12, 14 people, 14 maybe, because that family came.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, and like I can't imagine anyone in our community wanting to hang out 2 or 3 times a week in practice. Like that just doesn't exist here.
I personally, I'm not in a team, but I do have like a group of friends that I will practice with, and almost every Friday night before a major tournament, we'll be at one of their guys' house just practicing combos and trying new things out.
Yeah, not here.
Because our community is so dedicated to trying to be good at this game, and it's like
totally different. Why does everywhere else in the world love this game so much more than we do? Like, why does this happen?
I don't mean to brag, but I do think that Australia is probably as close to a Asia style community as you'll get outside of Asia. We I
mean, that's great.
Our tournaments are almost always minimum like 80 people. This coming Sunday is 104 players, and it's the first one of the year. Yeah.
See, and this is so different. This is so different. So I ran an event this past Saturday, right? So just yesterday, I guess, our time at least. And we had 48 people, okay? And that was the most that have ever shown up to a tournament in the state of Minnesota ever.
48's amazing. That's really hard to achieve. That's honestly a really good achievement.
Well, it's not. It's not. We've actually over throughout 2025 there was a downturn from like 2024. Like the numbers went down. mostly.
Yeah.
And so my goal, since I started running events, is I've been trying to pump the numbers back up. And if things keep going the way they did this last event, we're headed in the right direction. So it's great that you guys have so many. Like I wish that we could get there. Maybe someday. But y'all are doing a great job down there, and that's. I guess it'd be cool if we had more of like Beyblade culture here. People come to the events, they play, and it's fine. But I don't know how many people in the state of Minnesota love Beyblade. I don't know how many people that's their primary hobby.
Yeah.
And maybe that's the difference. I know, like the people down there that you're talking about, the people who come to these 80-person tournaments, 100-person tournaments, and they're practicing all the time. That's Beyblade's their primary hobby, right?
No.
Really?
No, quite often they have many other, like the main group of guys that I play with on a Friday night. At the moment, quite a lot of their main hobby is actually Magic the Gathering. It's
Yeah.
just
Okay.
that I think I think that a lot of it is just the community, and we all feel this really strong sense of community. That's where we all met each other. That's all where we are all making new friends, and so we kind of keep that alive because that's almost, even though that was our main hobby to begin with, now it's become more of a pastime where we just want to keep playing that game for the love of the game, and because you're getting new releases every month, maybe one, maybe two, maybe six new releases every month. It's easy to come back.
Uh-oh.
So Beyblade has a bit of that. What's happened there?
You're kind of messing up a little bit, like kind of laggy.
I think he cut out for a second, but I think he's back now.
Yeah.
Sorry, where did I cut out at? It's all good. I'm just saying, like,
I think you were talking about community. The last kind of thing I heard was like clearly was community, and that's how you all met each other.
Yeah, I think that we really want to come back to the game, not only because we feel like we met each other there, but you're getting 1, 2, or 6 releases a month. The game's never the same. The game's never the same, and the decks are never the same. And I would say a lot of our community are always trying to find ways to beat the meta. We're always trying to find ways to beat the Wizard Rod or beat the Dragoon E. And so it's always it's almost a puzzle. Every week you're coming back to put a new piece into that puzzle where you're trying to defeat the thing that's really hard to defeat. A lot of our, for lack of a better term, marketing is very much based on where the anime says, rise to the top. We're always trying to encourage our players to be the best players, to rise to the top and really try their hardest. We have a ranked system where we encourage players to earn as many points as they can, and they really take that seriously. They really do.
Yeah, I mean that's first off, that's wonderful and that's great. It just seems in such stark contrast to the U.S. style of play. Like we definitely have players here who kind of do their own thing, or players who want to find the next thing that can beat the meta. But generally, I would say our best players just play meta decks. Like that's kind of how it is here. I mean, Cake, when was the last time you saw Egg, Emrys, or Wayward play something that wasn't pretty fucking meta? Like, if we're just being real with each other.
Or at least used to be top meta, but yeah.
The worst Bay I've seen one of them play in the last month is Tyranno Beat. Okay?
Right.
Like, and I'm not saying that Tyranno Beat is like SS plus tier, but I mean, like, it's like Wayward has a connection with that Bay specifically, and like, it's still a pretty good Bay, Like,
it's funny because we had a tournament last year. It was 96 players, and the first place player won with a Hell's Reaper on wheel. Like, he cooked with it. Hell's Reaper, I think it was wheel on wedge, and it was beating everything. It was beating Wizard Rods. It was beating Dragoon E's. Like, yeah, a lot of players will play the meta here. They will. But every now and then you'll get play. I would say there's not one tournament where one of the top 3 isn't playing meta. Quite often it's meta, but there will be one player at least in that top 4 that's just playing totally random stuff you'd never expect, and they're up there,
Yeah. I mean, we have like a fair amount of it's a little different here. We have some very like strong players, and then we have like good players that sometimes top, and then we have a fair segment of players who are probably, if we're just keeping it 100, probably pretty unlikely to top. You know,
Yeah.
we actually have like a really, really strong team here, and I just kind of mentioned them, but I'll shout them out again. Metal Empire. We have these 3 guys, and there's never an event where at least 2 of them aren't in top 8 out of the 3. Sometimes all 3 of them are, and that's not uncommon at all. I can't think of the last time that like one of them hasn't been like in the finals match, you know, whether they took first or second. Like they're just very strong.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting. I think, you know, whenever we did a team event and they actually didn't wind up winning, which is kind of a surprise, but like the whole like thing was like, oh, who can show up and beat Metal Empire? Like that was kind of like my advertisement point. Like, are you good enough to beat these guys? So they're really skilled players and they're really cool guys.
Amazing.
So what about, so you guys don't have like but you said you're thinking about working on like a team rank system of some sort. Are you involved in that process, or?
I'm a little involved. I'm not involved in the main organization of it. I'm working more as a coach for a specific team. But the organizers, I have talked to them about the format and how we develop that format, how we make those rules so that it's actually really enjoyable, and it's not just what you would believe it to be, like, oh, 3 members, 1 bay each. We're more thinking about like ban systems, banning out bays in a ban phase before the match even begins, things like that.
So kind of like a MOBA.
Almost like a MOBA, yeah. We've definitely looked at esports to kind of influence the way we've designed this format to make sure that it actually is entertaining to play as much as it is entertaining to watch, you know?
I mean, that's dope. To be honest with you, I'd even love like a one-on-one system where you bring 5 bays up and your opponent gets to ban 2 of them and you get to ban 2 of theirs. Like that would be neat.
That's been a casual format we've done before. We've done a casual format where you build 5 bays and your opponent bans out 2.
Yeah, we should run that sometime, guys. People have been talking about it. I think that's a really great idea, actually.
Yeah, I'm in.
So,
and actually,
what is your deck? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
My main deck? No, it's all right. It's
all right. No. You finish what you were saying, and then we can move on. Yeah.
No, I was just saying another one, like probably one of my favorite like casual formats that we did is called oh crap, I forgot the name of it. But basically, the idea is you're actually building a deck for your opponent, and so that's forcing you to use like, parts you would never really use. You know? But it's also like, so you're building a bad deck for them, but they're building a bad deck for you.
Yeah.
And so really that really comes down to your skill level and how well you've built a deck for your opponent. And I really enjoy that format as well. It's just really entertaining. It really puts your mind into a different space where you have to think not about how good your deck is, but how inconsistent it's going to be, you know?
Yeah, we thought about doing something like that over here.
We actually talked about it pretty extensively. My holdup, and maybe you can speak to this a little bit, is what I worry. So the idea is you build a deck, right? And it's supposed to be bad, and you hand it to your opponent and they play it, correct?
Yes.
So my concern, you know, and again, I'm not just in general, just, you know, thinking off the top of my head is, if I'm building a deck for my opponent, am I not just going to give them like the loosest, crappiest ratchets I possibly can? You know, like I worry about.
You very well may. You very well may, but I think we did mitigate that by forcing all of them to be on attack bits.
Oh.
Okay, I understand.
So we forced everybody. So you can build whatever you want to build, but they all have to be on. They can't be on needles. They can't be on balls. They have to be all on like attack bits. We can count like level in there. We count taper in there, but it has to be something that goes zoom, basically.
Okay. Well, that's cool. I mean, so it seems like that you guys put some thought into it, because that's what I was worried. Like, we're gonna have to think about how to like make sure people aren't, you know, kind of going over the line when they're trying to hose their opponent, you know. So,
and like the other thing is, we didn't want to have massive stamina battles where everybody's tossing their stuff on needles and balls, and then you're standing there for a minute watching a stamina battle, you know.
Yeah, you're right. I don't like stamina battles at all, so I agree with you on that. So, what's
my deck?
Yeah, because you mentioned the unicorn, and so we kind of all know that's in there. But what else are you running right now?
So my standard deck at the moment, as of late, has actually been I've taken unicorn out and I'll put it in when I feel comfortable with it. But my main stuff is actually shark scale on free ball, hover wyvern on low orb or under needle. And then I'll put Wizard Rod on 160 wedge.
Okay, so I have started to see that shark scale free ball thing. We had a player
Mhm.
here who studies the worldwide meta pretty extensively who started doing that to pretty reasonable success, I'd say.
Yep.
I've never heard I've heard of Hover Wyvern on the Underneedle, but you mentioned a different bit.
Low orb. Yeah.
And I have never ever heard of that. How does that play?
So Underneedle is okay, but it depends on the bays you're going up against. Underneedle works because you're sitting in the middle. Hover Wyvern doesn't actually need movement to get a critical hit. Hover Wyvern can sit still and get critical hits with very little movement. But the only reason I would toss it on a low orb is to avoid attackers, because low orb is a bit of a ball bit, so it'll move around a lot more. And basically, you're getting a little bit more power from that little bit of movement than an Underneedle would get. Low orb still sits 1 mil lower than a standard height, so you're still kind of on a lower bit. But Hover Wyvern's also got solid stamina. So really the idea was, and this was from another one of our players called Totofu. He came up with this combo, but I've been playing it so much more, is if you're against, let's say, a Rod on Hexa, you don't need to pocket it on a Hover Wyvern. You just need to knock it into the rail. You knock it into the rail enough, and your low orb will outspin that Hexa. So for the Hover Wyvern, it doesn't matter if you're getting it into the pocket or not, so long as you're just getting critical hits at all. That's really what matters on that one.
See, that's crazy. Over here, people run. I've seen Hover Wyvern on Low Rush. I've seen it on Kick quite a bit. I don't know that I've ever heard of it on.
Well, the other benefit is Low Orb is a tilt. Low Orb's a tilt bit, so it allows you to tilt over more without losing stamina and possibly without scraping if you're on a 960. And because of the shape of a hover,
Potato chip.
not that the people listening can really see, but it looks like a potato chip. And if you're leaning in, as you come in, your big blade is going to sweep underneath and try and break the ratchet of the other person. So you're either going to get you're going to get a burst, or you're just going to critical hit them into a wall, which is either way what you want to be doing. And because Underneedle will not really allow you to do that, because Underneedle is needle, it will keep your bay perfectly flat. But a low orb will allow it to tilt anytime it's moving. So it's a little bit more consistent and defensive than a Underneedle would be.
And you said that was with 960?
Yeah, usually a 960.
Okay. I'm gonna have to try that. That sounds pretty cool, actually. I'm curious to check that out for myself.
I'd highly recommend the Wizard Wedge as well. The only reason I started doing Wizard Wedge was because it was outspinning Wizard Hexa with just as much defense.
Interesting.
What 160 wedge? You know, they do have a lot of cool colors of wedge now. So maybe I give that.
I'm waiting on my mummies to come in because I'm gonna use that beautiful like teal one on my green rod. But you know, wedge on a 160 on any bay is just, it'll jump out of pockets so easily. And I find if you're, I almost hope when I have my wizard on wedge that I'm going up against a wizard on Hexa, because if I flat launch it and pull as hard as I can, it doesn't matter if I go into a wall. So long as they go into a wall, I'm happy.
I mean, that's fair. Now,
that makes sense.
I'm a little curious about the wizard with the wedge here. How much testing have you done with that into Clock Mirage?
Into Clock Mirage, not as much, because not as many players are running Clock Mirage here.
Okay, Clock Mirage has been kind of a phenomenon here.
Yeah. If it's any sort of ball bit, I don't expect it'll outspin the clock. If it's on an Underneedle, which seems to be what a lot of people are running it on, there's a solid chance. Mostly because the wedge is only on 10 teeth, whereas an Underneedle is still on its standard 12 teeth, I believe. Clock is a very tanky bay, and there's not much area for critical hits on it. That said, you're basically hoping you pull harder than your opponent in that matchup.
I mean, that's fair. The ways I've seen to beat Clock, obviously you can put it into a pocket, but actually Clock seems to like parry hits pretty well. Like if you don't hit it kind of direct, it seems to like glance off a lot.
Yeah.
And then the other thing I've personally, obviously you can burst it. That's the best way to beat Clock Mirage is burst it, right? Hit as hard as you can, hopefully it bursts. But something
Easier
I've been
said than
seeing,
done.
right? Something I've had a little bit of success with, and I'd probably have to do a lot more extensive testing to like recommend it to people, but is getting Samurai Caliber low enough that it consistently hits the ratchet and tries to destabilize the clock and start it kind of bay wheeling, sort of. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I don't. Does Rod on
If
Underneedle
you know that,
get low enough to do something like that to kind of destabilize it on his ratchet?
I mean, if you pop it on a 455 or a 450 on Underneedle, it would definitely get low enough because not any. You got to remember, Clock Mirage, the blade itself sits a little higher because of that gap area there. So it definitely get underneath it. I don't know necessarily. It depends on how they launch as well, because if they're angle launching that Clock Mirage, it's just a big shield. It's going to be really hard to get underneath and behind it. That's where you really want to have the Shark or any other low attacker, because a big smack will. It doesn't really matter if it's a shield. The big smack will just take care of it. But Clock Mirage is becoming a bit of a problem. It is meta, I would say, but it's a bit more off meta. It's definitely not like a must pick, but people are definitely playing more and more of it, and you have to get a little creative to beat that thing.
So I mean, when you say a problem, do you feel like it's too oppressive, or do you just feel like players aren't used to it yet?
I feel like players aren't used to it yet. I've played against a fair few. There's one player who is using Clock Mirage religiously in our community, and I can never pop that thing open on. I'm using a Shark scale. If I'm using a Shark on attack, I'll be using on a low rush, 160 or 360 low rush, and I still can't pop that thing. I just can't get the hits in where it needs to go.
Can I ask
It's
what
just
he's
a
running
very
that on?
good. So there's two players, but the main one would be It's the 965, the stock ratchet it comes with a low orb, which is not the
965
underneath, the
Interesting.
low orb. Yeah.
I'm gonna write that down for
We
later.
did
I'm
have
gonna
a
try that
player.
out.
There was a player
I was gonna
at one of
say,
our
I
recent
gotta try
tournaments. I
that
think they were
too.
running on. It was M85 Rush, I think, and that thing was like crazy good. It was getting knockouts like mad. But that said, this game's also just as much RNG, so like random things can happen, and you can get really good hits on that.
Yeah, that's so
That is
true.
true.
So true.
There was another content creator called Stefan Galaxy, and he did a video which I absolutely love and I quote all the time. And it's, guys, you got to remember, we're playing spinning tops. It's spinning tops. That's what we're playing.
Yeah. Spinning tops that like to explode or throw each other out of a ring
Yes.
or whatever. But
Yep.
so kind of going back to your whole many people coming to your events and everything. Another question is how hard is it to get judges for those events, and how many stadiums
Great question.
how many stadiums do you run per those like 100+ people events?
So we've had judges from the very start. We were a little bit less organized maybe a year and a half ago, but now we've really kicked it into gear where Pax, the gentleman who has this connection with Hong Kong, sells products, he offers a judge incentive program. So for every tournament that you judge, you'll receive like points that get you extra little prizes. Maybe it's a little discount code for a store, or maybe it's like some BBAN merchandise like a shirt or a vest, sort of things like that, to encourage people to join judging. At the moment, I don't know the exact number. I think we have well over 20 judges at the moment. But we try to make sure that we don't require them to be like WBO qualified or anything like that. So long as they, meet the standards that we run by, because our tournaments are run almost identical to TT rules, with a few little changes to make up for extra fairness that we feel is more fair to the player. Standard tournament will run usually somewhere between 6 to 8 groups, and each group will have 8 players in it. And each group will have 2 stadiums allocated to them. So we'll usually have about somewhere between 12 to 16 stadiums at a time. And we'll do a first half, and then we'll do a second half.
Oh my!
So the first half will be like 6 groups, and the second half will be like 6 groups. Usually it's a full day event. Like we'll start at maybe midday, 12 o'clock, and we won't finish until maybe like 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. But yeah, 2 stadiums per group, usually 12 to 16 stadiums. Don't worry, you're not going to need that many stadiums until you'll get more stadiums as you grow your player base. But
yeah,
the real trick is maintaining those stadiums because they get so much play out of them. Like we do go through a fair few stadiums at times.
So that's a good question. Yeah. What do you guys pay for a stadium down there?
It depends on where you get it from. I think the cheapest stadiums I've seen was like maybe $40, 40 Australian, which would be like 30 USD. For the stadium, okay, yeah. Funnily enough, like the stadium I do my videos in, I got for about 5 USD because it had damage to it, and I was like, I'll just repair it and I'll use that for my stuff.
That's totally fair. So when you say about 30 USD, you're talking like a brand new one, like hasn't been used yet.
Yeah, brand new.
Yeah. So here on Amazon, it's like 55 USD for just the stadium. That's crazy.
And that's not including shipping.
It does only if you have Prime. If you have Prime, you're good. Otherwise, maybe you're not.
Yeah. Yeah. Because the shipping on those things is ridiculous because they're so large. But we do have a gent, like I said, Pax, he has really good connections in Hong Kong, so he's able to get them a little bit cheaper for the organization. Not so much for individuals, but for the organization, for the sake of our tournaments, we try to have all of our stadiums be uniform. So like all of them are white stadiums with red rails. And we try to maintain that. Yeah.
That's very
neat, you
though.
guys are doing a great job with that. We're lucky if we can get all either BX or CX at the same event, let alone the right colors and all that. That's you guys are doing pretty good.
I do really love the I love the CX04 stadium, the clear base with the Beyblade logo on top. I love that clear base. It's such a beautiful stadium.
Yeah.
So has there been any talk in your community about whether they feel there's any significant differences between the CX stadium and the older ones?
Yes. Yeah. It's not so much that people feel like it's not a massive issue, mostly because we always run the same in white stadiums with red rails because we believe that that's the most consistent, quality controlled issue. We're not going to run if you're running, say, a white stadium and then a clear stadium. I think, me personally, I find the clear stadium is a slightly taller lip in the middle.
And so oh my God! Someone else sees it. Someone else sees it.
Yeah. So like when I do an attack launch and my bay won't get over that lip, and I'm like, that doesn't feel too good. I definitely see a bit of an issue. I know some of our players in our communities feel like they're a bit different, but that's why we try to keep the same stadiums always, so that there's a level of quality control and continuity. We have a thing called shrouds. Shrouds are little boxes that go around your stadium. We try to make sure they're all exactly the same size, and the stadium always sits in the same space. If we don't have enough, then we're not going to use them at all, and everybody will play without shrouds, because if you don't have a shroud, it becomes a bit more of a bouncy stadium. So we really try to make sure that the experience in a tournament is consistent for every player.
I mean, that's totally fair. We have here we call them wayward spin stands. Okay. And the Wayward's the guy who makes them. He does a really, really great job. They always have cool graphics on them and stuff. But yeah, I mean, that's the standardization thing. I think that's a huge thing. And I wish we had the community and the connections, and maybe budget plays into it too, to maintain something like that.
It's definitely tricky, but it's also a bit of having people with the know-how. Like we have a couple guys who work on the maintenance for the stadiums, like heat blasting them to make sure the rails don't keep popping out, and maintaining shrouds. It's not just like
interesting.
It's like trying to make sure that people have the technical know-how to maintain all the equipment as well. Like,
can you actually dive into that a little bit? Finish your story, but I'm curious to hear about the maintenance, because I don't think there's any maintenance that goes on in any stadiums here.
So we find that quite often when a stadium is used too much, the rails start popping out and there's a bit of deformity. As you can imagine, in Australia, it also gets pretty hot. Sometimes we're in a venue where it's just really, really hot, and that can sometimes very minorly disform a stadium. Maybe the clips disconnect or something. So when you're in a battle, you launch, the rails pop out. So to kind of fix that, because the stadiums are made from thermoplastic, they're, it's one sheet of plastic that gets heated up and then is molded into what a stadium looks like. You can use a heat gun very lightly over the edges when the rail goes in, and then you just fold it over a little bit, and it holds onto the rail a lot better.
Huh.
And it prevents the rails from popping out as often.
Okay, so is there any? So the biggest problem I think we have here in the U.S., and it's probably similar down there, but is the holes in the pockets. Does that happen at all down there? And is there any way to prevent that, or is that just kind of happen?
There's absolutely holes in pockets. I think part of the reason we don't have as many is, do you guys use shrouds down there, like a little box that your stadium sits into?
Yeah.
So yes, however, now are yours very tight around the stadium?
Fairly not tight enough that the stadium is stationary. We give it a little bit of movement, but not enough that it's massive, I don't think.
And I think we've experimented with different sizes here. Like I said, we have one guy who makes all of our stands here, and there's several different sizes, and he's experimented with different. So, and we definitely, like, even at my last event, we had 4 of his stations there, and 2 were identical, and the other 2 were, like, one was one way, one was a different way. So you think because the stadiums bounce around more, there's more damage to the pockets?
I think that's definitely a possibility, mostly because we're talking about physics here, where it's like a slingshot effect, where it's slinging from one side to the other side, and if the stadium's moving in the wrong direction, say your bay is going this way but the stadium's going that way, there's like 2 forces in play there, and the bay can smack into a wall at extra force that it wasn't intended to. But I also think that there's a possibility of, I don't know if you guys have restrictions on your launches, but we have a few restrictions on how a player's allowed to launch, and that can affect the way that a bay moves or the amount of speed or power that you're getting behind a bay as well.
Really? Launch restriction?
Yeah.
Can you elaborate on that a little bit? Because that's totally different from what we're doing, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
So we've had some, I'm just trying to find a way to word this, but basically there's some launches that we've deemed either dangerous or unfair or possibly like harmful. So we always try to make sure like our bladers are sitting at minimum 20, like you can sit as low to the stadium as you want, but you can't touch the stadium, but you cannot sit as high as you want. You must stay at minimum like level to the stadium. You know what I mean? We've had some bladers like do these weird jump launches where they like throw their body back as they launch. We don't allow jump launches like that anymore. There's a few different things like that, but we try to maintain, like, you have to keep your hand low. You have to keep it close to the stadium, no higher than like 20 centimeters up. And when you launch, you stay on your half of the stadium. So you can't move into your opponent's half at all.
And yeah, so we do have a threshold, like you said, where we can't be more than X amount above the stadium. However, I don't know that is very strongly enforced, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then we have, there's a certain minimum we have to be at too. That people adhere to pretty well. I don't usually have any issues with that. But we don't have any of the crazy, like, jumping back type of launching, it sounds like, that you guys have had to ban over there.
Yeah.
I mean, do you think we do, Cake?
I don't think. No, maybe the worst thing that we have is obviously, and it's going to be one of those things that it's going to be very hard to do, is when you launch, you like drop your drop your launcher a little bit more down into the shroud. But yeah, we don't have any, to my knowledge, we don't have anyone jumping or doing the Macarena or doing anything other weird launching like that.
I mean, we do allow players to actually have their launcher inside the shroud, so long as they're not touching any part of the stadium when they launch or remove their arm. If they do, then that's a mislaunch.
Wow.
No, I mean, that kind of makes sense. I think another major difference is the WBO over here. You were talking about not being on your opponent's side at all. Here, It's a little different. If you're on their side and they feel you're infringing, they can request the judge to tell you to move. But there's no actual like rule against it, if that makes sense.
So I don't know. I'm not super familiar with WBO rules, but I know that here we try to adhere as close to TT as we can. And TT does have a rule about a halfway line down the center of the stadium, and you must stay on your side of that line.
Yeah, I kind of wish we did that here, but because I think the problem it creates is a player doesn't want to look like a whiner if they complain to the judge about their opponent's launching position. You know what I'm saying? I think it'd be much easier and objectively better to just create that halfway line and make everyone adhere to it all the time.
We do have a very good respect for judges here. So pretty much it's when judges call is final. Arguments, they're not going to happen at the stadium. They'll either happen after the match or they'll happen with a TO, tournament organizer. So the respect for judges here is very, very good. And I think that if people have an issue with maybe judges call, then they won't have that out there right there at the stadium. They'll usually have that with a TO after the match is finished, which is really good. I think that's really, really what you want in a community like that.
That is usually how it is here. However, there was a confrontation recently with actually one of our co-hosts here tonight that happened definitely at the stadium in front of the other player. And yeah, so normally it's good here, but once in a while, someone gets a little upset.
Of course, we have that too. And things happen, but we have to try and just maintain the integrity of the game.
Yeah. All right,
Jacob, you got some more questions?
Yes, sir. So how do you prepare for a Beyblade tournament?
Me? I'll usually sometimes I have two things that I do. I'll either travel heavy or I'll travel light. If I'm traveling heavy, I'm effectively taking an entire case of Beyblades with me, which is this right here, which has one of every blade that they've made, and I'll take every single blade with me because I want to be extra prepared. Mm-hmm. And then I'll take maybe two winders, 2 string, 1 left, 1 right, and just make sure I have all of my equipment, all my blades, and I'm ready to go. If I'm traveling light, I'm going to determine in advance maybe 6 bays I want to take with me. And I'll take my 1 strong launcher, just 1 winder, 1 left launcher. I'll take it with me, put it in the bag, and I'll go. I like to try and think in advance what I want to play. I don't want to decide when I get there on the day which bays I'm playing, because I like to go in with a bit of a game plan. And then, as some of the people in my community will tell you, if I start losing real bad, I'm going to swap all of my bays out to something totally different and hope for the best. I love this game. I really love this game, but I also try not to take it too seriously. Yeah. I try not to, over prepare, mentally prepare, or anything like that. It's like, no, I'm just playing a game, and if I win, I win, and if I don't, I don't. I'll do better next time. But yeah, really, it's just making sure that I have the equipment that I want to have with me, and being comfortable if I'm not bringing everything with me, being comfortable with the stuff that I have brought with me, committing to that decision, basically.
Yeah. I mean, it's all good stuff. I know so many people, at least here in Minnesota, they bring almost all their stuff. So these guys will basically kind of do the same thing as you. Everything that they own, they'll get a big toolbox or whatever, dump it up on the table, and they're all ready to go, just in case if something were to happen with their 360 or their 160 or one of their bits or whatever. So they're ready to go, and or same thing.
I was just to say, it's good to have multiple of the same part just in case they break.
Yeah, which is very smart to do.
It is a rule. It's actually a rule in our tournaments that if a part breaks, you have to replace it with one of the exact same part. And if you cannot do that, then both players get to go back and redo their entire decks.
Wow. I mean, it makes sense. But both players.
No.
Well, most of the time, people can replace the parts they break.
Right.
No, I guess I'm curious how specific you guys are. When you say the same part, if a 960 breaks, is any 960 acceptable, or does it have to be the exact same color and everything?
Any 960 will do.
Okay. Now, you guys say you play as close to, what do they call in Japan? B4? Is that what it's called?
I believe that, yeah, we just call them TT rules, Takara-Tomy rules.
Okay, sure. So does that mean that there's no ratchet swapping in Australia?
No, we do allow ratchet swapping here. So if you want to change your core out, maybe you want a full red core, so you take your red 5 frame and a red center and you put it in, we allow that 100%. But we don't allow like painting on the.
Yes.
Okay, because I they don't allow ratchet swapping though in Japan, do they?
They don't, no.
Okay, so that's just something I was curious about because it's something that people here love to ratchet swap. It's probably Chad over here's favorite hobby. He probably likes it more than playing Beyblade. So I was just curious how you guys handle it over there.
No, I love ratchet swapping too. I was extremely happy. This is gonna sound really weird. I was extremely happy when we got that yellow Shinobi Shadow in the random booster pack, because the yellow Shinobi Shadow came with a yellow gear point, and then I could ratchet swap a 5, and I could have my lemon lime unicorn sting in stock in yellow colors. I was very happy about it.
You do understand you've hit a milestone. You're probably the first person ever on a Beyblade podcast to say I was excited about a Shadow Shinobi release.
More for the bit than the actual blade, but yeah.
Well, no, I know, but it's just funny to hear. Like,
yeah, not wrong. What else we got? So what made you want to start doing content creation for Beyblade stuff?
Good question. I've not to brag, I've always been a bit of an actor, and I do a bit of theater and a bit of film and whatnot, and I enjoy doing screen work, and I tried doing a little bit of streaming during the COVID pandemic, so I've always had a bit of like a creator kind of mindset. And I noticed not many people had done much Beyblade X content on TikTok when I started.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of it was actually still based around Metal Fight. I'm trying to remember some of the older folk, but there was a few folks that I remember, like I can't remember the names at the time, but they were doing a lot of like Metal Fight stuff and Metal Fight combos and Metal Fight bays and history and lore and all that stuff. And I'm like, that's really, really cool. Nobody does that for X. I'm going to start doing that for X. And so I just started, if you watch my really early ones, you can see how rough they were, but it's just a blade sitting in the middle there on stock combo. I talk about the combo, and then I talk about some parts that might be better on it. It definitely developed a lot from there, where now it's more about trying to teach people some maybe off-meta combos or some good things, trying to talk, maybe following a little bit in MBBC's book. We're trying to talk a little bit through the physics or the theory of why this should work, maybe it doesn't. And I did a little bit before the new year, but I was doing a bit of launch technique and trying to teach people how to launch into specific areas. But I really just wanted to get into it because I just enjoy doing content. I enjoy doing screen work and film work, and it's a good little mini way of me to get into doing that on a casual basis.
Oh. Yeah, I've watched a couple of your stuff, and it's really interesting to watch. Like you got some really good info and everything else like that. So definitely keep up your good work, man.
Oh, I appreciate it, and really, it's I don't say this lightly, but it's like I don't have a script. I don't write down what I'm saying. I just put the bays in front of me, and then I just start talking about them.
Yeah.
Because I can do what the kids call yapping, and I can yap real good. And I can just keep talking and talking and talking. I'm a bit of a talkaholic. My fiance would say I talk too much, but
I can yap real good.
It's a good outlet.
So you said you're still waiting on your Mummy Curse boosters. Have you gotten your Meteor Dragoon yet?
No, that one was a little disappointing because I did put a pre-order in. It just hasn't arrived yet through the proxy service. I heard there were a few delays, and I understand that. Worst case scenario, I'll get one this weekend from PAX because he might have a couple extra sitting there that I can just purchase from him. He does do a really nice thing with the random boosters, where if you buy every single random booster, all the bays, you can guarantee one of each if you buy the entire set from him. So I know which ones.
Yeah, so like bays and bricks or whatever, you can buy like the full set. Okay, that makes sense. That's actually really cool. I think a lot of players probably like that.
They do make it a little easier because when TT sends that stuff out, it comes in a box of 6, and it's what do they call it? It's a random booster, but really there's one of each in a single box. So when they send the box out, you know that in that box is one of every bay.
That's
the idea of random is the idea of random is when they take it out of the box and put it on the shelf. Now it's random. Nobody knows what's what.
That's wild. We had a local community member just come back from Japan. I think he bought like 30 mummy curse boosters, only pulled 3 mummies. Like, and when I say 3, I don't mean 3 of the prize. I mean 3 mummies total. Like,
yeah, crazy.
Well,
that's because when you're looking at a box, there's 6 bays in the random booster, and there's only one of each in a single box. So like, if it also depends on how the store distributes them on shelves and whatnot. Like maybe they just take one from each box or something. You're never quite sure what's going where.
Right.
Yeah, I think that was the situation. I think most stores in Japan had a limit of 6 per customer on that. So I think he bought from like 5 or 6 different stores.
Yeah,
that would make sense. Cake, what else you got, brother?
So going back to equipment, are you more of a string or a winder launcher?
It depends.
Oh,
it depends. So I find if I'm on B side, the one where you have the extreme zone to your right, I usually go ripcord, because I prefer to have a little bit of more power. And if anybody's seen my launch technique videos, they know that I can almost always land the stall launch on a ripcord. And so it's a practice skill. You just practice, and you can get it into that stall zone.
Yeah.
But when I'm on A side, depending on which bay I have up, I might swap to string, because string, which I have, give me one of this. String launcher. Sitting somewhere else, but basically, if you have your string launcher, a lot of people think they need to pull the string, but the real strategy isn't to pull the string, it's to pull the launcher. So you grip the string and you can pull the launcher outwards like this, and as you twist your arm, your bay will flick to the other side. So you're actually on an inward lean, as if you were leaning on the other side. That's the strategy I try to do to land a reverse rail ride on the other side.
Interesting.
That's crazy. I've never even considered that. That's really cool.
Wow. That's
well, that's it's funny because that's that kind of just seemed intuitive to me, because it's like, if you want the point of most leverage, why grab the thing that's tiny and doesn't fit in your hand? This is a massive grip, so just pull the launcher itself, and that again, it's a practice skill. You have to practice that thing over and over, but eventually you can land it to where it's on the other opponent's side, reverse rail riding in on the B side, like it would if I was already on that side. And if they've tried to do a stall launch, chances are you're going to shoot them into the extreme zone, because now you're right behind them.
Well, that's pretty dope. I like that. Speaking of equipment, and this kind of a follow-up to what Cake asked, now, do you guys only allow official TT accessories, or are people allowed to like have 3D printed grips and all that kind of stuff over there?
Nope, they can. So our guys can have 3D printed grips so long as they do not exceed the size or dimensions of a TT grip.
Okay.
They can use slip grips, sling rings, all sorts. I actually design quite a lot of the 3D accessories for our folk in Melbourne. I do a lot of 3D graphic design, and I do a bit of 3D printing. So I have a whole. I can even show you. I have this is like my little menu of things that I sell. I sell deck boxes and base stands and launcher links and all that. So people can use our official accessories in matches, so long as like the whole point of the accessories is to not change the integrity of the game. It's purely like an extension of what you can already do, essentially.
That makes sense. That's a good policy, I think.
Yeah.
So it's like a slip grip is not a like advantage, because you can already slip launch off of a string launcher. It just takes more skill. So a slip grip isn't changing the odds or anything. It's just making that skill easier and more accessible.
Very cool. I mean, so that kind of falls into the whole one of the final questions that we have. Do you have any sponsorships?
Me myself, I don't have any official sponsorships, and I've actually turned quite a few down. Mostly because I don't want to. I want my opinions to be seen as genuine and from me, and I don't want it to be seen as buy mummy curse because Mall of Toys has told me to. Like I want people to understand that when I'm saying this product is good, it's from me, not from a sponsor that's working behind me. The closest thing I would say, closest thing to a sponsorship is like Pax Bays, which is our Australian fella, but most of that isn't for my channel. That's for me as a judge. It's like a judge because I'm part of the judge incentive program, the judge reward program. So it's not a sponsorship of the channel. It's more just me as a person. But yeah.
Oh, very cool. Well, I'm actually out of questions. Vile or Chad, do
That's
you
good.
guys have any, or even Sensei, do you have any questions for us? We'll kind of do a reverse Uno card.
The reverse Uno card's pretty neat. I guess I'm being you guys work on WBO rules. I take it mostly, yeah.
Yes.
And I was listening to one of your podcasts
Affirmative.
where you said you had to have like at least one judge at the event, but all the other judges don't need to be WBO qualified. Is that right?
Yep.
So like,
Very much
I
so.
guess one of my questions is like, how do you make sure that all your judges are like making the same calls in the same situations?
So
Honestly, the way I would do it, and maybe our organizer here, Vile, would do it differently, but the way it works, at least in like TCG tournaments, especially like big one, Yu-Gi-Oh! And Magic, is you have a bunch of judges who kinda understand the rules, and then you have head judges who like they live and breathe the rules. You get the lower tier judges to answer as many calls as physically possible, and if they aren't sure, that's when they grab the head judge,
The main
and then the head
judge.
judge looks everything over, and then they make the final decision.
Yeah, and then challenge
Right.
the call and this and that, and
so I guess what I
Just give me
do
one
is
second. You guys
oh,
keep going. I'm just going to take one moment for 1 second, but you guys keep talking. I'm interested to hear about it.
okay. So essentially what I do when I run an event is I go ahead and just make sure that all the judges are WBO certified. There's a test you have to take, and then you kind of keep an eye on judges their first couple events, and then they're generally fine. But I don't use unlicensed judges. I don't think ever. And in fact, I've definitely held up matches before because I don't want to use non-certified judges. Um, I guess the only exception, and I've said this before, is like there are certain people in our community. I always use Egg as a good example. Like Egg could 100% pass the judge exam with his eyes closed. He just hasn't bothered to do it because I don't think he cares to. If I needed a match judged and like Egg was the best candidate, I would use him. But there's very, very few people I feel that way about. So yeah, generally I just use certified judges, and that's how I work that, and they all kind of know what they're supposed to be doing, and there's generally not too many major errors. So that's what works for me.
just kind of gotta have trust in your judges. Just like if they're all certified or not, you just gotta, like Vile said, Egg is not. He's one of our bigger name guys here in Minnesota, but he's not certified. But we just have trust in him to sit down and judge if needed. So again, that falls into just gotta trust the judges with or without certs.
Yep. I suppose that is the case, and we do the same thing when we're getting our new judges in there. We always make sure we have an experienced judge, like shadowing them to make sure like the calls are still good, and if they're not, they have to jump in. But everybody has to start somewhere, I suppose, and you need to make sure that they're trying to keep the integrity of the game, and you just have to trust they'll actually do what you need them to do.
Very true. Well,
It's a good
I don't want to keep
question.
you guys up all night. I know you guys have had a lot. Yeah.
No, you're good. Do you have any other questions for us, or Chad or Vile? Do you guys have any other questions for our guest over here? before we kind of send it off?
I mean, I've pretty much asked everything. I like to talk about the differences between different regions. I like to ask about the market of the bays in different regions, how much they cost. I've kind of done all that. So,
Right.
As
so I'll
soon
leave
as
it to
I,
Chad.
as soon as I get my hands on Stun Medusa, I'll let you know.
Hey,
There you go. There you
there-
go. Chad, what about you?
As
You
for
got anything?
me, and now any and all questions I would have asked have already been answered by those lovely questions that we had left.
Well, great. All right. So, what we do towards the end is let our viewers know that we actually got some events coming up. Um, so we have an event on this coming Saturday, so January 10th. This one, no, this one is not you. So this one,
Nope.
no,
Cake, I can do it from memory if you want, brother. I know all the events.
go for it, my man.
All right. All right. So this Saturday, Kraken hits 4 p.m. doors, 5 p.m. start time. It is a kind of standard 3-on-3, but unranked event being hosted by Sam. $7 entry fee. The following weekend, the 17th, we are off because the Lorcana pre-release just hosed us at every single venue that we use. So that sucks, but it is what it is. The 24th, we have two events. The first is at Dreamers Vault, South St. Paul, hosted by Acuna. That'll be 10 a.m. doors, 11 a.m. start time, entry fee $10. That is a ranked event. So that's going to be really cool. And then we actually have a second event that day over at Kraken Hits, 4 p.m. doors, 5 p.m. start time. That is unranked, $7 entry fee. That's hosted by Sam. And then on the 31st, we have Kraken Hits, 4 p.m. doors, 5 p.m. start time. It is going to be a team event, 3-person teams. And I'm not sure if I'm going to use $7 or $10 entry yet. I'll let you guys know in the next week or so what I'm going to do there. And that'll be the standard team format that I kind of used the last time. So, everyone should kind of know how that runs.
Yeah,
Cake, did I miss anything?
Yeah, hopefully your partner doesn't run away and go to the store and go to one of the vendors and starts buying the tackle goat. So hopefully, best luck on that.
I like how I feel like if he had went and bought like an Aero Pegasus or something, there wouldn't be any opinion on that. But because it was a tackle code, that changes opinions.
Literally anything. You buy the weirdest damn 2-pack that you could really buy. I don't know. So on the WBO site, the January 10th, so this coming Saturday, and then the 24th, the one at 11 a.m. start time. Those are the only two events that are on the WBO site as of right now. So hopefully within the next week, the second one on the January 24th one will be available. So we can join that and go from there.
No one wants to join mine. I see how it is, Cake. I feel you, brother.
I mean, that's already on there. So if
my team event, no, it's not.
Oh yeah. That one's brand new. I just found out about that like 2 seconds ago when you said something.
Yeah, I've only been telling a few people, so now everyone knows.
Yeah,
So
everyone knows. All right. Anyway, BeySensei, thank you so much for coming out.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you, sir. This was a really great time. It's always, I know Vile really loves talking to all the international people about all their products and other shit like that. So I know, big thank you from him to you for coming out here, taking time out of your busy schedule to come talk to us all the way from Australia. So once again, thank you so much for coming out. And then all the viewers.
Thanks for having me.
Oh yeah, we will definitely try to get you, and then
Let's
maybe
do this again sometime.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you're great company, so we will definitely keep you in mind for sure. Also, thank you guys so much for listening. Also, once we get to 100 followers, we are so close to that 100 followers over on Spotify. So once you guys do give us that 100 followers, we are giving away one free stadium stand free of charge as long as you live in the United States or a United States territory. What are you doing?
I'm just playing with a Beyblade.
All right, Vile, Chad, is there anything else before we kind of send it off? All right,
Yeah,
cool.
I think we're good here.
All right, sounds good. All right, guys. So appreciate you guys for checking in. Finally, not least, BeySensei. Go check him out. I will put all of his social medias down below in the descriptions. Go check him out. Show him some love. Show him some support. And we are out of here. So, guys, until next time, so long. Stay safe out there. Have a great and awesome rest of your day. Take care. Much love, guys.